This is the Etsy Conversations podcast, and I am your host, Ijoma, and I thank you for joining me for another episode. This week, I'm going to be talking to Ina Fitzgerald, and she runs the Etsy shop, If Only Pretty. Or it could be IF Only Pretty, but we'll find out when I talk to her. Hi there. If you're listening to the podcast, then I assume you're either a maker, a blogger, or you run a creative business. And if so, I'd like you to join me for a conference that's coming up next year. It's the Craftcation Conference. It's held once a year, and it's a 4-day conference that features over 80 hands-on DIY craft workshops, business classes, and social events. It's held from April 27th to the 30th, or it will be held from April 27th to the 30th of 2017 in Ventura, California. Now, Craftcation is a conference that's put on by Delilah Snell and Nicole Stevenson, and you might remember I've had them on the podcast. They're the ladies behind Dear Handmade Life, and I had them on the podcast in February of 2016, and that's episode 116. If you'd like to listen to our conversation and just learn more about them, please do go back and listen to that episode. And we also talk about the Craftcation conference in that episode as well. At Craftcation, what you get are skills that you'll need to start your business if you haven't already, or if you have a business already, take that business to the next level. You'll make longtime friends at the conference and also build your community and support system. It's also a good way to just get together with the creative community and discover or rediscover the inner artist and crafter inside you. Again, Craftcation happens only just once a year, and every year it does sell out. I believe there are about 400 people that attend the conference. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's not too big and not too small, but it does sell out. So if you're planning for your conferences for the next year and you're trying to decide which ones you want to attend, I would recommend Craftcation. Again, it's 4 days. It's going to be on the beach, so that's kind of a bonus. And it's specifically designed for creative business owners. You can learn more about this conference at dearhandmadelife.com. If you choose to go, I do have a discount code for anyone who listens to this podcast. You can get $20 off your Craftcation tickets, and that's if you use promo code Etsy Convo. Again, that's dearhandmadelife.com. Get $20 off your registration if you use the promo code Etsy Convo. But go over to dearhandmadelife.com to learn a bit more about it and listen to episode 116 where I talk to Delilah and Nicole. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me. Here's the episode.
Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijoma Elazu.
Hi, Ina, and thank you for joining me on the podcast.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. So I said your Etsy shop name is If Only Pretty. Is it If Only or IF? Because I see a play on your name.
Yes, it is If Only Pretty.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm glad to have you on the podcast. Thank you for being my guest. And before we start, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I live in cold Wisconsin with my husband and our 2 little boys. I enjoy making things, and I've started my Etsy shop for a while now, and just enjoy making things for my customers and doing a lot of custom orders. So,
Okay. And so you've been, you've been selling on Etsy since 2002, but let's go back to the beginning. How did you first discover Etsy, and when was that?
I was trying to remember to go way back. I can't pinpoint the exact thing that kind of led me to it. I probably read about it on a blog or saw a link to something somebody else was making. That's most likely how I got introduced to it. I just thought it was amazing. I think just that these people are, doing something with their craft and are able to share it online. And it was just really intriguing to me.
Yeah. So, what do you sell on Etsy?
I make jewelry. Most of it is hand stamped. And I do a lot of my orders are custom orders. I do have some ready to ship things that I just kind of keep in stock, things that I make on my own creatively. But I really enjoy working with my customers to get their custom designs or words and phrasing. Most of what I sell are wrap bracelets. Some are silk, some are on a suede cord. Lots of color, just really fun. Yeah, that's kind of the mostly bracelets, but I do sell some earrings and necklaces as well.
Okay. And so you started making jewelry about 10 years before you opened your Etsy shop. Are you self-taught?
Yes.
Okay. What was your motivation to learn how to make jewelry?
I think, it was probably back in high school. I think I just played with some beads and things with my sister here and there. And this actually kind of goes way back. But for way back when in high school, like I said, I had for a speech class, we had to show how to make something with our hands kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I could just show them how to make a bracelet. So I showed them how to make this little bracelet that just, you put the beads on and it was just kind of a stretchy one. I tied it to like a certain knot.
Yeah.
And one of the boys in my class said, "Oh, can I keep that?" And I thought, that's kind of odd, but okay.
Oh, I think that's sweet.
So that is my husband right now.
Oh.
So yeah, it's kind of a sweet story. All goes back to that little speech and how to make a bracelet. But yeah.
Wow.
Definitely Mm-hmm.
So crafting got you a husband is what I'm getting from, is the moral of that story.
I never thought of it that way.
All right. So now when you opened your Etsy shop in 2012, what was your main goal? Did you open it because you wanted to run a business, or had your friends and family just got tired of getting free jewelry from you?
No, I was actually probably really hesitant to give things to my friends and family. I just felt like, I'm sure I did, and I still do.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think my main motivation was just I was making things a lot, and I came up with different designs here and there. And I thought, well, let's just see what people think of this. Let's see if somebody else would like this instead. So it was definitely just kind of to support a hobby at that time. I think down the road in my head, like that dream of, oh, wouldn't it be amazing to do this full time was there. Yeah. But realistically, in that time of my life, it was definitely just to kind of support a hobby, and just I was really enjoying what I was doing. So I just wanted to share it.
Okay. Now, usually, I shouldn't say usually, but a lot of Etsy sellers start off first giving what they make out to friends and family. And then some have some hesitation about, selling it to the world because, you wonder if everyone else will think what you're making is all that great. But in your case, you weren't giving too many away to your friends and family. Were you more concerned about how they would receive, or I shouldn't say receive, but, how they would feel about your jewelry than you were strangers?
I think so, yeah. And as time went on, I got a lot more comfortable with that, and I have given things away as gifts. And
yeah.
But I think I was just scared. I thought, well, they're not going to tell me if they don't like it, So I always. So I think selling online or selling even at craft shows and stuff, I just kind of thought, well, at least there's that little shield, between you and that customer. There's not that, intimate personal connection.
Yeah.
So I always felt more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, now I'm kind of past that. It was just, I felt like I was just so new. It was such I was just not as confident, I think, in myself at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely helped. I've come a long way.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because when I started the podcast, I would tell my family, okay, I'm doing this podcast thing, but don't listen because I don't want to know what you think.
Yes,
I'm just
exactly.
telling you I'm doing it because I'm enjoying it, but don't listen because they would be like, I'm so bored listening to you. You talk to So I didn't want to know. I wanted them to know what I was doing, but I didn't want to know what they thought about what I was doing. And then eventually I
Exactly.
was like, can you listen? Can you give me some feedback? What do you think?
Yep.
But that took a while because I
Mhm.
think I just wasn't ready for the honesty because in the beginning for me it was so new and so personal and I knew I was awkward and I knew I was
Exactly.
horrible. So
Exactly. That's how
yeah.
I felt the same way.
Yeah. Now, so eventually you did get a sale. Do you remember when the first one came in?
Um, I think it was at least a couple of months after my shop was open. Yeah, I remember hearing the my little thing on I think on my computer actually, because I think I was on my computer. But yes, it was I remember the exact bracelet. It said somebody wanted it to actually it was pre-made. It was a ready to ship one.
Okay.
And on it was stamped Namaste.
Huh.
And I just kind of, I don't know, I've just always had a little love connection with that little bracelet because
Oh
it was just
yeah.
my first sale.
Oh
It was
yeah.
really, really special. I did.
I bet. So right from the beginning, did you optimize your shop and your listings? Did you know all about that or did you just start by putting things up for sale and then you started to figure things out as you went along?
No, I definitely just kind of put things on there and then just figured it out as time went on.
Okay. What
I think when I first started, I don't think I knew a lot about, and I don't think I still know enough about all that stuff. But
mhm.
no, I definitely just kind of, I tried to take decent, bright colored pictures.
Mhm.
And that was my biggest thing that I tried to focus on at that time. But no, I really didn't
Yeah.
try a whole lot into all the details.
So learning as you went along, what were some of the resources that you turned to?
Um, I think I tried. Well, I used the Etsy. Gosh, I don't know if they had like a blog or
The
they
seller
just had.
handbook?
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. I know
Yeah, it's
I've read
kind of
that.
like a blog. Mhm.
Yeah. And then what I've done too in the past is if I've come across like other sellers that I can kind of tell they're doing well, I've reached out to them like in Messenger and stuff and just said, you know, I'd really love to know like how, whatever my question was. It mean, it was never really specific to something they were selling. It was just more of how,
Mhm.
any like tips and tricks or what did you use or how did you find out about this? I really tried to kind of engage with other sellers that were, um, they were kind of doing it already.
And for the most part, did you find that you got a positive response? Like,
Yes, the ones that responded, I definitely did
okay.
for sure.
I think that's so brave because I've often seen, because you know how you can be browsing on Etsy and you see somebody who's doing something really well. And like you said, you don't want to copy what they're
No,
doing, but you're curious, like, well, what did you use to mount that, to take that
right,
picture? But I am always so scared to ask people just because I don't know, it's a me thing. Like, I feel like I'll be crushed if someone doesn't respond or if they're like,
right.
well, hello, why don't you go and do your homework? I'm like, I am doing my homework. I'm asking
You
you.
figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's brave to ask, but you're not the first one who has said other Etsy sellers are open to helping
Mm.
other Etsy sellers, especially
I
if
just think it was for sure. I think it was just such a nice thing to share things like that.
yeah.
Because I mean, I know starting out, like I said, I kind of started from scratch and built my craft and built my shop and improved my photography and improved my listings and things. So it's definitely been a learning experience, but it's come a lot from like other sellers.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So are you selling on Etsy full time or do you have a job outside of what you're doing on Etsy?
No, I have a full-time like day job.
Okay. So let's talk
Mhm.
about time management.
Ah,
What do your days look like? How do you juggle it? And you have two little ones too.
yes. My days are full. I mean, they really are full. I try. This has been my busiest holiday season yet, so it's been more hectic than I've been used to. And my littlest one is 6 months, so it's definitely been just kind of
Oh
cramming
man.
as much into my day as we can. But yeah, I mean, we get up in the morning. I usually don't even mess with my Etsy shop or orders until I'm home for the evening and maybe the kids are in bed. So throughout the day while I'm at work, if I'm at lunch or, on a break or something, I might check my phone. I might update a listing or get back to a customer or something.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't kick in until I'm home. And then I'll try to stamp if I have any orders to actually hand stamp. I'll try to do that before the kids go to bed so it doesn't make a whole lot of noise.
Yeah.
My studio's upstairs, kind of in line with all the other bedrooms. So sometimes I'll take some of my materials down into the dining room and work. And I just I just try to stay up as long as I can, but still get enough sleep to where I'm functioning the next morning to do it all over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my day. But yeah, like I said, it's been busier this last couple months than usual. So I'm kind of looking forward to a little break here. But yeah, that's kind of how I spend my days.
And that's good. Did you prepare yourself for the holiday selling season? Did you anticipate that your sales would go up?
Yeah, I mean they usually do every year.
Okay.
Yes, I guess the answer is yes. I don't think I was quite prepared for this, but yes.
Yeah. I always like it when sellers aren't prepared for a busy holiday selling season, because I think it's a pleasant surprise that, okay, you knew it would get busy, but you didn't think it would get that busy. And then that just means that you're making a lot more sales. That's the way I think about it. As far as shipping, what's your process? Do you have a certain section set aside for shipping? And how do you handle when you get an order?
You mean like in my studio? What do you mean certain sections?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, do you have a space for your scale and your packaging supplies and so when you get an order, everything is already set up. It's like your factory line of one.
Sure. For the most part, yes, I do have some of my packaging materials kind of in a little corner of a closet. So I know once I'm ready to actually, once the product is done, I know I'll need a box, a business card, some tissue, whatever it is. So I just know how to grab that all at once.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the most part, it is all in one section.
Okay. So you include a business card in everything you send out?
I actually have two.
2 business cards?
Yes, I do. And so what I usually do is my wrap bracelets when they actually go out in the mail, I wrap them around a business card. That's just how they're packaged. And then, so usually like if it's being given away as a gift, the person receiving it will receive it that way. And then I always, in the past at least, I've put one kind of on the front of the box that's wrapped, has little like twine around it.
Yeah. On
the front too. So if they want to give it that way, that's fine. But if it's a gift, the person that bought it maybe could keep that card.
Oh, right.
That's just how I've done it in the past. And yeah, it's worked so far. So
that's a good idea. I never thought about that. But yes, people do gift a lot of items they buy on Etsy.
Yeah. So the actual product itself comes on a business card.
Okay. All right. Now, as far as shipping supplies, have you found a good source for packaging materials and a good reliable source that's affordable?
I'm still kind of trying to figure all that out. I have a few places that I've reordered from. I still don't know if I'm confident that I'm getting, like you said, the best pricing and the best quantities of things. I'm still kind of playing with that. I've bought some things on Amazon. I've bought some things from like a local, like a place here that sells literally boxes and kind of shipping materials and different things. So I'm still kind of narrowing that down.
Okay. Did you see a big quality difference in the ones you bought locally versus on Amazon?
I have not. Okay. Actually, it's been pretty consistent.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I think I want to find out more from people as far as shipping supplies goes. I know that's not something we go too much into depth, but everybody needs, well, not everyone. If you sell digital, you don't.
Sure.
But for people who ship physical goods, I think it would be nice to know just where to start looking and, where people have found good quality shipping supplies. And I know that there are companies out there that make custom shipping supplies. So
Yeah,
one day I'll get into that on the podcast.
I know. That's kind of my goal too. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So what's the inspiration behind the jewelry that you make?
That's a good question. So my background, like my schooling background is in journalism. So I've always loved to write, and kind of words and the kind of the stories behind everything, like always get my attention. Like if I listen to a song on the radio, I hear the story and the words first. And then kind of the melody and the thing. And my husband always laughs because I'll listen to a song once and I'll know like all the words the next time I hear it. So a lot of my jewelry, a lot of my bracelets especially are contain maybe one or two words that are hand stamped, unless they're custom made and people can choose, whatever they put on there. But
yeah,
I've always found like really great meaning in a word, I guess. Like if it's personal enough, it's kind of just there as a little reminder or encouragement or whatever it is you need that to be, like for you. That's kind of why I really enjoy making the things that I do. Because I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. It does make sense. And so the words, I know that your goal is to have like positive words and like encouraging words on your jewelry. Mm-hmm. Do you ever, except for I guess if you get a custom request, look at what's trending and then try to go with the trends, or your niche is encouraging words and not so much just what's hot right now?
I've tried that, and I honestly, I don't think I've sold maybe one or two that way. And I just kind of thought, I didn't really enjoy making these. I didn't come up with it. It had no, I didn't maybe hear the word in a song. It didn't really connect with me. It just didn't fit. And it didn't sell. So I kind of let that go, and I'm still kind of sticking to the positive, to the encouraging, to the little reminders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. And the reason I ask is because I know that works for some products, and then for others not so much. And I guess when you think about it, for jewelry that a lady would like to wear or someone would like to wear, they might be more, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say content, but more apt to wear something that was positive that they could look at throughout the day, as opposed to, and I can't think of any popular lines right now that are trending, where after everyone stops saying it, then you're like, why am I still wearing this?
Yeah, for sure. Or if there's like a movie or something out with like a quote or something relatable, it just didn't quite fit, I guess. And it just never really did well. So I just kind of stuck with what worked.
Right. And I think that also goes to the fact that jewelry is timeless. So
and it's personal.
And it's personal, yes. So you really do have to think about, your product in that way. Like, is it just for today, or is it something I want somebody to, keep wearing on into the future? In which case you want to make it something evergreen that someone who feels connected to that will always want to wear.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about pricing. How did you arrive at the prices that you charge?
Well, when I first started out, I did do some research on Etsy. I did look at other sellers, in other shops, just to kind of see what people are kind of willing to pay for things. And then kind of as time went on, I was able to adjust that a little bit, and I got, I was able to buy some of my supplies in bulk and at wholesale prices and things. So it's definitely been a process.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I try to take into account, the time that it takes me to actually do it.
Yeah.
And now with a family too, I value my time. It's on a whole nother level now.
Yeah.
So my time is worth so much more now.
Yeah.
And I've definitely, since I've been doing it for a little while now, I kind of feel like I've mastered some of the things that I'm making, and So yeah, it's been a work in progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you always been open to selling internationally? Actually, I should even ask, do you sell internationally?
I do sell internationally.
Okay.
I think in the beginning I was probably a little hesitant. And then
Why?
I kind of like everybody says, how do you figure out the pricing?
Oh,
What
yeah.
documentation do you need to go? How much is this really going to cost?
Yeah.
How long is it going to take to get there? It was just a whole nother animal in itself.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of opened it, and it took a while, and I finally got one. Gosh, I don't remember if it went to Australia maybe, but I just I did it all through Etsy. It was just set up with with their shipping
Yeah.
options there, and the form that you needed printed right on
Yep.
there. And I just I think on the first one, I probably just guessed on the shipping, and I may have actually even contacted some other shops regarding that too, or at least looked at other shops' pricing for international shipping.
Yeah.
That would have similar weight and similar sizing and things. So it just kind of worked the first time, and I really haven't had any issues with it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that first product you send internationally, at least for me, I know it was nerve-wracking because I was like, every day I would track it. But then, after it leaves the US, you lose.
Yep.
If you're using USPS, the tracking stops after a while. And so then I would keep checking my email to see if, I got a message saying, hey, I still haven't received it. That was my nightmare, was getting a message saying, it's been 14 days and it still hasn't arrived. But shipping internationally is not as it's scary, but it's not as bad as a lot of sellers anticipate it might be.
Absolutely. I would say the same. Yeah.
So let's talk about promotion. Now, you were recently, or one of your bracelets rather, was recently featured on BuzzFeed. And I'm going to link to the BuzzFeed article. It was featured on their 19 gifts that will make your daughter feel awesome about herself, which is kind of a good one to be featured on.
I know. I thought so too.
Now, how did you find out about it? Did you know it was going to happen? And what happened after you were featured?
I did not know it was going to happen. I just saw a ton of traffic. Views, 5 or 6 times my normal views just throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
On the day that it was featured. And I kind of thought, well, what is going on? And it was just on this one. It was several things that they were clicking on, I think, once they were there in my shop.
Yeah.
But it was this one specific green silk wrap bracelet that had hand stamped on it the words, "With brave wings she flies." I kind of thought something has to be going on, especially if it's this one specific piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at work, I think, while it happened. So I kind of thought, oh my gosh, I got to get home. I wanted to get on my computer and kind of track where all the activity was coming from. So once I did, I saw a list, Etsy.com. It'll tell all the places, and it said BuzzFeed.com. And I thought, oh my gosh, I had no idea. So then, of course, I had to go on their site. I couldn't find it. It's like my shop name wasn't listed by name.
Mm.
It was just the image with the link to my Etsy shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally found it. And it was very exciting. It's definitely been a seller in the last couple of months.
Yeah, I can imagine. Mm-hmm. So, and that's one of the nice things I think about selling on Etsy. I know everyone talks about eventually moving away from Etsy or starting their own website, and that's fine. But I think even if you are starting your own website, it's still nice to keep your feet in the Etsy waters, because then publications like BuzzFeed and retail buyers go there looking for items, and it will be harder for them to find you on your own website if that was the only place on the internet you were. Yep. Because most people might not think to look for whatever your website name is. But just having a presence on Etsy, and I'm sure you had no idea this was going to happen.
None.
They probably just had someone who was trolling around on Etsy just looking for things that would fit in this particular article they were doing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So did the traffic from that I know when you get that type of exposure, it's only natural that your traffic spikes and then eventually it goes back to normal levels. But how long would you say the traffic from BuzzFeed stayed around?
I would probably say at least a good solid maybe 2 weeks.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Where I was consistently seeing like the actual like BuzzFeed link in my stats.
Mm-hmm.
That like even in the last week or so, I haven't seen a lot of my traffic coming from BuzzFeed,
Mm-hmm.
but that specific bracelet I've sold out of like 3 or 4 times by now.
Oh, wow.
So so I don't know if that gets picked up on Etsy somewhere. Like I'm not sure how those things are set up, but I don't know if maybe, if they track sales somewhere and maybe that gets picked up and is shown more. I really don't know.
Yeah. I don't know how it works either, but I have heard that, if something is popular or trending, Etsy will feature it, or they feature something and then it becomes trending. Actually, I don't know which way. It's a chicken and egg thing. But yes,
it was at least a whole week, maybe 2 of I was definitely seeing traffic from BuzzFeed still. And like I said, that it's still selling. I think I sold a couple, 2 or 3 like this last week too. So yeah.
Yeah. And the nice thing about those is those articles tend to go viral. So people who didn't see it when it was first published might one day randomly, stumble on it. It will get pinned, on Pinterest, and then new people who are making their boards or pinning stuff will now, stumble on that. And so that's one of the nice things about getting exposure in these types of publications. The unfortunate thing is there's nothing you can do about it. You can't ask them to feature you. You can't just put yourself in front of them because you don't know how it happens. Yep. So, but it's a nice thing when it does.
Oh, for sure.
So outside of that, what do you normally do to promote your Etsy shop and to promote your items?
I'm pretty active on Instagram. That's kind of been my main kind of platform where I'm able to communicate with some of my customers or even customers that have ordered in the past. I've done some of the Etsy like ads and things. I really haven't seen a lot of that kind of come back. So I really haven't done that a lot.
Okay.
I even tried doing like a little boost for Facebook.
Yeah, how did that work out?
It worked out fine. I just did like I don't know, maybe like $10 or $15 for however the time period, just to see what would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed that it was my post was viewed. I mean, it had hundreds and hundreds of views, but I didn't really correlate to them coming back to my shop, if that makes sense. I didn't really see any extra activity on the Etsy side, but Facebook showed that more people saw my ad or my post.
on Facebook, but whether or not they actually took any action was harder to tell. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, have you tried any other types of ads like the Google Shopping ads or Pinterest ads, or even Twitter now has ads?
No, I have not.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think with the ads, it's just luck of the draw. I've tried to read articles that, say, how to do Facebook ads, and I shouldn't say luck of the draw. I think I don't fully understand Facebook ads. And for some people, it's like the holy grail. They put an ad up and, they get a high return on their investment. And then for some others, not quite so much. Mm-hmm. So, but trying is, is worth it. I've tried Facebook ads before. And like you said, they do get exposure. But personally, I was never able to track any actual sales back to the Facebook ads.
Same here.
Yeah, which doesn't mean it didn't work. Just I didn't see it. I couldn't make a correlation. But then again, I would always just do like a 1 week trial just to see, because I think the minimum is $5. And I was like, well, okay, right now I
Right.
feel like I can afford $35.
Yes. Let's try it.
Yeah, let's try it.
Yep.
What about outside of social media? Do you have a website, or do you do live shows like craft shows or vendor fairs or farmers markets?
I do not have a website. Online. I sell through Etsy. I do. I try to do at least, well, especially now, I mean, with kids and stuff, but yes, I kind of actually started selling like way back when. Probably my first show was in 2012, was through like a handmade market, like a craft market.
Oh yeah.
And I just did one just before Thanksgiving, and I just did that one this year, and I love it because it just gets me out I get to meet the customers, and it's just it lets you out from behind the computer and out of your studio. And I try to really do shows that are specific to handmade. I feel like those shoppers are there and they appreciate the work, and it's just a really nice crowd. So that's usually what I like I said, I did one this year, and it went really well. So
okay. And because you're in Wisconsin, I'm going to mention this. I don't know if you know Angie Gordon. She runs the Gathered. And so, Angie, I love Angie.
I met, quote unquote, Angie through your podcast.
Really?
Because you had her and Kim Conan on.
Yes, that's right.
And I just was randomly listening. I'll tune you in while I'm at work sometimes. I'll just listen to the podcast and take notes.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about a craft show, and
yes,
I literally stopped in my tracks when they mentioned my hometown. They mentioned Sheboygan.
Sheboygan, right.
Who's talking about Sheboygan? So yes, I do know them. They're so sweet.
Yes, they are. And when I saw that you were from Sheboygan, I was like, okay, I have to ask you, do you know Angie, and have you been a part of her? Because she does a holiday craft show.
Yes, I did that one last year. We did not put it on this year, but I did do it last holiday season.
Okay. And was that a good experience?
Oh, absolutely. It was great because the show that I'm usually used to doing here in Wisconsin is about an hour away from where I am.
Okay.
I've just had a good experience there, but this one was like literally right here in my town. And it's a fairly small town, so it was just fun to see people like right here. Yeah. So it was definitely a good experience.
Okay, good. That's good to know. And it sounds like Angie puts on a good holiday craft show. I know she puts a lot into it. Yes. Yep. And she does a lot of marketing and, just to get the word out for the show. So I don't know if I'll ever be in Sheboygan for Christmas or at the time of the craft fair, but that's on my to-do list if ever I am, is to attend that.
Yep.
So when you get an idea for a new product, typically how long does it take you to hash out the idea, create the product, and then have it ready for sale, or at least a prototype of it?
I would say at least a week or two, only because I'm not able to just sit down and really devote, an hour after hour to something that I'm doing. I'll kind of just try to find pockets of time as I have them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say about a week to really kind of, depending on how intricate it is, but yeah, I would say about a week or two.
Okay. All right. And I know you said that you have some pieces that you keep ready-made so that they're ready to ship when you get an order. For the custom orders, what's your turnaround time like? Are customers receptive to that? And I know the holiday season is different because sales are much higher.
I think in my shop, I try to get them out. I think my policy states that all the custom orders will ship within maybe 10 days or so.
Okay.
So I try to, that's pretty good time frame for me. I try to get them out before then.
Yeah.
And most of the time I can, but sometimes I can't, and it just kind of gives me an extra buffer. maybe I can stamp one night and package another night. And it just kind of, it gives flexibility there.
Okay.
But usually, realistically, less than a week, about a week or so.
Okay. All right. Do you sometimes find that you're not getting new ideas for new designs? And how do you get yourself out of those creative black holes?
Yeah, I really haven't had the opportunity to really just kind of sit in my studio and just kind of like dream up new things, which I really enjoy doing that. But to do that, I really need like a clear head, and some music going and things. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll just get an idea and I'll think, well, or I might actually see like another seller doing something and I'll think, oh, well, maybe if I just clasp this differently, or it's a completely different, item for mine, but I'll just think, well, if I maybe incorporate part of that into something that I can do, or if I use a different kind of wire, would it show like this? And I just to kind of get out of that rut, I just need to sit in my studio and just play. Like that's kind of how I get out of it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, it's fine. Maybe I'll just wear it for myself if I like it. But sometimes, yeah, I think I just need to get in here and just play with the colors and the beads and, just see the opportunity, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's the nice thing about making jewelry is if you make it and it doesn't quote work, it can always become yours.
Right. Yeah.
So Ina, when you first started your Etsy shop, you said you just opened it and then you learned along the way. What are some things, maybe 2 things that you would tell that person listening now who is kind of in a similar situation, decided to, jump into Etsy and learn along the way? What are 2 things that you would tell them that can save them some time and effort, and maybe just make that learning curve a little bit less about selling on Etsy and just how they can be a bit more efficient?
Gosh, I would definitely say reach out to other sellers.
Okay.
Like I said before, it's just been such a good, it's a good way to kind of build your community, but it's also just a really great way to find out what's working for other people. I mean, I think that's saved me some kind of headaches too, as far as the shipping goes, or even contacting somebody and going, where are you getting your shipping materials? This is so pretty. I might be able to use it, in something that'll work for my business. Maybe not necessarily the same. And you'll find that the sellers that are willing to share really kind of get it, and they're there for the community, and they will help you out, and they'll give you some pointers, and they'll just be encouraging along the way. It's just been a really good confidence builder too.
Yeah.
For me. So that's definitely one big thing.
Okay.
And I would just say, don't overthink it. Just kind of, if you have an idea and you think it might work and you can take a decent picture, especially now with your phones and everything, just try it. Just post it and try it and let people know and put it out there. And, Instagram, Facebook, have your friends share it. I would just say, just go for it. Just kind of jump in and start.
Yeah. I like that because I know some people get tied up on just thinking about everything before making a move. And so sometimes you just, try and fail, and you will fail probably at some things. Sorry. I think we all do, but it's good to, when you learn that way, because then you can move on, you can move forward on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Is there, what would you say was the hardest thing you learned about selling on Etsy?
The hardest thing, I think it was definitely for me, was having all of my materials in stock, making sure that I have the certain kind of leather. Just everything that I have, I had to make sure that I actually truly did have it.
Yeah.
And maybe it didn't, sell with the last bracelet, and I'm still posting it as a ready-to-made item, but I still needed to make sure that I had my inventory ready in case it did sell again. So that's definitely been one big thing for me. And my husband's big on that. He'll go make sure you have all your boxes. Do you have all your, materials? Do you have all your wire, your metals, and all that?
Yeah.
I would definitely make,
Now, do you have an inventory system that you use? Like say for the things that are ready to made, where you're tracking ready to ship rather, where you're tracking how many you have in stock. So, if you have, down to a certain number, you need to make, X number more ahead of time. Do you have a specific inventory system you use, even if it's an Excel spreadsheet? What works for you?
I actually don't, and I should. I know, but I don't. And part of that is because even the things that I have that are ready made are like one of a kind. So I won't have like 3 of one bracelet. I'll just have so I have a little display that I have up in my studio. I actually just use it for my craft shows too, but most of what I have that's ready, I'll just keep on there. And then as it sells, I'll just pull it. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the good and the what I would like on Etsy. What's one thing that you really enjoy about selling on Etsy? And then if there's something that you would like Etsy to feature or you'd like to see on the platform that doesn't exist right now, what would that be?
Something that I really like that I just found a couple of days ago, I had ordered some supplies on Etsy and I got a notification. You usually get a notification when it ships, but I got a notification that it was delivered, like an Etsy notification, which I haven't seen before. I don't know if that's new or not. I don't know. But I was so excited because I've been waiting for these, and I have orders that ready to go out, and I'm waiting for this one thing, and I got this, and I thought, how cool is that? They actually let you know that it's here and it's at my door, and I was,
oh wow,
it was just something,
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, that was the only time I'd gotten that. As far as something to change, I really don't have anything. I mean, I think it's a pretty smooth working platform. It's easy to use. I haven't had a lot of like hiccups and things. I don't really think I have anything I'd want to change at this time.
Okay. And that's good too. I'm sure they would like to hear that. Yeah. Like, oh, we're perfect.
Well, yeah.
What's something that you're doing now that you think is really working well for what you're doing on Etsy? A process or something, just anything that you're doing that you think is really just working well for you?
I think in this last year, I've really figured out my photos, kind of making the backgrounds bright and not busy, and just where the product itself stands out. I think that's been my big kind of learning curve, and a good experience is definitely, I think, has shown me definitely increased sales. I'm looking back, when you first post and you look back on some of your first things that you put on there and you think, oh my gosh, what was I thinking?
You're like, that actually sold?
I know. I try not to think that because, it was special to somebody and they loved it and I put a lot of work in it. But definitely photography. I feel like I've come a long way in some of that.
Do you have a camera that you use or do you use an iPhone?
I do have like a nice big camera that I do not use.
That you don't use?
I don't. We use it for, like for personal pictures at home and kids and stuff, but I have used it in the past and it's taken amazing pictures.
Yeah.
It was just such a large learning curve for me. I just could not figure it out where I got consistently good photos. So I just kind of stick with my phone and I try to just do that. And I mean, it's working, I think.
Yeah, no, it is, because your pictures do look good. I'm just amazed at how well how the type of quality you can get from smartphone pictures. Mm-hmm. And for anyone who doesn't know, there are actually tutorials that will teach you how to get professional looking pictures from your smartphone, because a lot of them now you can make so many adjustments to where it almost looks like you're using like a DSLR or an SLR camera. Because if you tweak your camera settings just, to the right settings, no one would ever know that was, your phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ina, are there any resources or favorite tools that you use that help you be a better seller on Etsy that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
Well, one for sure, I mean, 100% would be just listening to your podcast, because I feel like, no, really, I've learned, like, I will just sit sometimes with a headphone in my ear and just like, I'll just take notes after notes, and I'll try to get home and, incorporate a lot of the good information that the other sellers are giving. But something else too that I found useful is Renee Christine's YouTube channel. She provides a lot of quick little tidbits there, but then she also talks to other sellers as well. So I found those useful as well, just for handmade businesses in general.
Yes. I love Renee Christine's videos too. I watch them as well. Sometimes if you go to her actual channel, so if you're on her mailing list, and I do encourage you to get on the list somehow, because then you'll get the emails when she makes a new video. But then you can also go to her YouTube channel, which I will link to. It's called Rich Mom Business, and she has so many videos on there. And she was one of the first people that was talking about Etsy that I started following about, I think it was like 3 years ago. And she used to make these product review videos, and they were so funny because she's just funny, but she gives good information. She's fun to watch, yes, but she gives really good information. So I will link to her YouTube channel. Again, it's Rich Mom Business. And yeah, that's a good resource. So Ina, do you have any or an Etsy shop shout out? Is there a seller that you like buying from or that has helped you along the way and you just want to give them some props now?
For sure. The shop name is Whitney Page Design Co. And Paige is one of the people that I've been able to reach out to just to get some input, to get some feedback. She's just been kind of helpful, and whether it came to Etsy or like Instagram posts and just kind of things. Like she at one point was doing like a subscription type of service with her handmade items. Yeah, so it was just really nice bouncing off ideas and having somebody that was kind of willing to share and let you in and provided some feedback for me as well. So her shop, and she makes beautiful purses and like leather little zipper pouches, and she sews really, really pretty things.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I just pulled it up just to make sure I get the link. And yeah, I love these pouches. So that's Whitney Page Design Co. And I will also link to her shop. Is her name Whitney or Page? You said Page.
It is Page.
Okay. So I will link to Paige's Etsy shop so you can go check out what she's doing. And when you do, say hello to her and tell her Ina sent you. Now, Ina, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way they can reach you?
Best and easiest way is through the Etsy Convos link, just on Etsy.com or on your phone, because I get those alerts to my phone right away. Email is fine too, if only pretty@gmail.com. But I don't really get alerts for those. So anything on Etsy, any sort of conversation, I'll get right away. Okay.
All right. So I will have Ina's contact information in the show notes for this episode as well. I will also have the link to her BuzzFeed article, so you can go check that out as well. And then you'll see the bracelet that was featured. Ina, thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you for taking time out of your day to talk to me and be on the podcast. I appreciate that. I know your time is valuable, especially with 2 little ones. So thank you very much. I do appreciate this.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Oh, you're welcome. And I thank you for listening to the podcast. I will be back next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.